You wake to a morning without weight, and the weightlessness is not of the body, but of the mind. There is no first thought of what you must earn today, no quiet calculation of what you can afford, no thread of worry about whether there will be enough. You simply open your eyes into the soft morning light beyond the glass, and your mind is free, unburdened by the oldest anxiety of all. You have woken into the age that left scarcity behind, the age after universal abundance, when humanity finally made certain there was enough of everything, for everyone, always. You rise and move to the window, and the city appears in the pale morning light. Green towers wrapped in gardens, quiet craft drifting through the open air. It looks much like the gentle cities of this age, but as you watch the people moving below, you begin to sense what truly sets this world apart, something you feel more than see. There is no want here. No one below is hungry or cold or doing without. No one is striving desperately for the means simply to live. The fear of not having enough, which shaped every human life for all the ages before, has simply lifted. And in its place is a lightness that touches everything. You step onto your terrace, and the air meets you cool and clean, and you find yourself thinking about how strange your old world would seem to the people here. For all of human history, scarcity was the great fact beneath everything. There was never quite enough, and so people fought and hoarded and labored their lives away for the means to survive. And the having and the not having divided every society into those who held plenty and those who held little. Then, humanity learned to make enough of everything, food and energy and shelter and all that a good life needs, in such abundance that the dividing simply stopped. There is enough for all, and so the scramble ended. A small craft drifts up to meet your terrace, silent as a held breath, and you step inside. As it carries you over the city, you think of how the deepest patterns of the old world have dissolved here. People no longer labor to survive, because survival is simply given, assured for everyone as the air is. The work that fills their days is work they choose, the making and the solving and the caring that humans do when they are free to follow what calls them. You realize that universal abundance did not make people idle. It freed them to pour themselves into what they truly cared about. Once the long struggle merely to live was finally over. The craft sets you down beside a wide plaza, and you discover how a world without scarcity lives. There is no buying and selling of the necessities of life, no price on what everyone needs, because there is enough for all and no reason to ration it. People take what they need freely and give what they make gladly, and the whole anxious machinery of getting and keeping that once consumed so much of life has quietly fallen away. You watch someone hand the work of their hands to a stranger, expecting nothing in return, and you understand that generosity comes easily when no one fears running short. You wander toward the sound of children, and you find them learning in a world that has never asked them to be afraid. One is exploring some craft purely for the joy of it, with no thought of whether it will earn them a living, because their living is already assured. Another is learning the history of the old world's scarcity, the hunger and the want, and the endless striving, with the puzzled wonder of one who has never known a single day of not having enough. A patient presence guides each of them along the thread of their own curiosity. And you realize these children are growing up free of the oldest fear, and so they reach for their futures without the desperation that once narrowed every choice. You pass people as you go, and you notice the deep ease in them, the absence of the grinding anxiety the old world wore like a second skin. You meet the eyes of one who seems no older than 40, and somehow you know they have lived a century or more. that they remember the harder years, the time before the great abundance, when want still shadowed even the gentler lives. And you understand that for them, this freedom from fear is not ordinary at all, but a daily grace. The answer to a struggle they once thought was simply the condition of being alive. If this world beyond scarcity is stirring something in you, a sense of how freely we might live when the fear of want is gone, take a moment to subscribe and journey onward with us. Every future we explore together is a reminder of what we are still capable of building. The more of us who hold this vision in mind, the closer it comes. Now, let the journey continue. You rise into the air once more, and a transit line carries you high above the city, and from this height, you understand how deeply abundance reshaped the world. The old divisions are gone, the walls between those who had much and those who had little, because such walls have no meaning where there is enough for all. The city below spreads green and gentle and whole, with no desperate quarters and no guarded heights, no place of plenty set against a place of want. You realize that ending scarcity did not only feed and shelter everyone, it dissolved the oldest source of human division, the having and the not having, that had set people against one another since the very beginning. The craft carries you onward, and you see how the abundance reaches beyond the city, freely given to every settlement across the world and the worlds beyond, so that no place goes without, while another holds plenty. You understand that this was the final shape of the great change, not merely abundance gathered in one fortunate place, but enough for everyone, everywhere, the whole of humanity lifted together out of want. No person and no community was left behind in scarcity while others rose, because the abundance was made to be shared by all. You descend as the day softens toward evening, and the city glows warm and golden, and people gather in the garden plazas to share food and slow conversation, giving freely of what they have made, taking gladly of what others offer. And you notice the thing beneath it all. There is a deep peace here, the settled calm of a humanity that set down its oldest burden, the fear of not having enough, the anxiety that had driven so much of the striving and the conflict and the cruelty of all the ages before. That fear has lifted, and a gentler way of being has risen in its place. You find a quiet place at the edge of a terrace and sit, and below you, the lights of the city wake one by one across the breathing green. You watch a child accept a gift from a passing stranger with simple delight, asking some question you cannot hear, and you watch an elder who remembers the years of want answer with a smile. And it settles over you, the meaning of this age. None of it was inevitable. Scarcity was the great given of all human history, the iron fact beneath every life. And most who ever lived believed it could never be otherwise, that there would always be too little, and always be those who went without. That humanity might make enough for everyone, and so be freed at last from the fear that had shadowed it since the beginning, was a dream the hungry centuries could scarcely allow themselves. Yet here it is, a world where no one wants, where there is enough for all, where the oldest fear has finally been answered. You lean back as the city glows softly into the evening, and a single thought stays with you beneath the gathering stars. This is what we became, when we made enough for everyone and learned at last to share it. And quietly, somewhere within you, you begin to believe that a humanity freed from want is free at last to become everything it was always meant to be.